Hi there guys, Rob here from Hobbymad. This is one of my first videos about hobby stuff. Um, I don't know if any of you know, but I'm something of an avid uh, wargamer. Well, not so much the playing part, but actually the construction part. So I really enjoy putting together the models and painting them up, and yeah, played the occasional game with them. Um, One thing that's kind of I've always found quite challenging is basing. Now, a lot of you, when you think about bases, it's your traditional, you know, little themed uh, base. So usually there's some kind of something that simulates sand. And in this case, this little Soviet soldier has some white powder there, which is simulating snow. But you can quickly see a problem with this, and it can't be used on all backdrops. So if you're playing, for example, on this scene of year, which is, although it's quite rocky and so on, so it might actually work with this snow. It's not really matched because there's only snow on the model and there's no snow anywhere else. So of course, one way around that would be to make just tons of soldiers with different bases. Um, that of course is not really practical. Um, But another solution, which I've recently run into, and which is now probably my favorite way of basing my miniatures, is clear bases. So essentially, what you do is you just stick your guy onto a little disc of acrylic. In this case, I actually have cut these out myself. So here at our Hobbymad studio, we now have a laser cutter, so I'm busy making my own bases. And you can see that essentially he just molds into the background. So this to me is the most elegant solution. I mean, you can just get your soldiers onto any terrain and they just fit right in. And of course, we get whole platoons of them. And I suppose one drawback of this is the troops can kind of be a little lost in the backdrop. Usually they stand out quite prominently when they're on a base, but this isn't usually an issue when they're moving in squads anyway. Uh, they're pretty visible. Another good thing, of course, is when you put them into buildings. Again, this is a little pull box we have there. Um, so again, the issue you run into when you stick these guys in is they, just doesn't look right. They have snow on their feet. Your man's running with a spade in the middle of a pull box. It just doesn't make sense. So, whereas with these guys, it just looks natural. They look like they're actually part of the scenery. Um, it's just a really, in my opinion, elegant way of finishing your models off. And of course, there's the added benefit of saving you a lot of time and effort. Um, now, I'm still a big advocate of, sorry, excuse me, of theme bases for show models or for painting competitions, things like that. But for everyday kind of wargaming and dioramas, things like that, clear bases just make a lot of sense. And I'll be doing my models with them in the future. Um, so if any of you are interested in using Clearbase as their models, I'm now going to go through how you can do that. Hi there guys, I'm back again just to run you through how to uh, put your models onto clear bases. So when I started out doing this, and that wasn't too long ago, I looked up a few ways of securing the models to the bases. And there were a few ways. Obviously, we have a lot of glues available to us. The most commonly used glue would be for basing would be good old PVA. Now I tried this and it was just absolutely useless, no strength at all, as you would expect. Usually it's used to fix scatter or kind of a wide surface area to the base. So that was no go. I next tried contact adhesive, which sorry, this is the plastic contact adhesive. So it's the one that melts plastic to plastic. So I figured, you know, the model's made of plastic, the base is plastic, but unfortunately it didn't really work that well. It did eat into the base a little, I suppose, and made a kind of a weak connection, but at the end of the day it just didn't stand up. I then tried a super glue that I had lying around, Revel Contactor Quick. This is a really good super glue, and actually it works. It works pretty well. In fact, it's an extremely good bond. In fact, the only way I could get the model off was by actually breaking their feet off. So that shows it's a really good bond. But an issue I ran into with this is you have to be extremely careful. If you get even the smallest bit onto the acrylic, it causes a hazing, a clouding, frosting, whatever you want to call it, that it just cannot be removed. And if you have fingerprints on the model and the fumes from this hit the fingerprints, it makes these nice fingerprint kind of tracks all over your models, your bases as well. So in my quest to find a solution, I ran into this stuff on the net. This is by Bob Smith Industries, and it's called Super Gold. And the added benefit of this is, you can see there, it's odorless. So for those who don't like the smell of super glue, and I'm one of them, it is just, it gets in your eyes, gets in your nose, triggers allergies, etc. It's just not really that pleasant to work with. This is the solution. So this stuff is available in our store, Hobbymad.ie, and we're going to be actually making I haven't released it yet, but we're going to be making a kind of a kit, clear bases kit that we'll package with this, because we make the clear bases ourselves as well. We have a laser, and yeah, so keep it all in-house. So the only thing with this is it is extremely, you can see there as well, it says besides it, this camera is new to me, still learning how to use it, but if you can see there, but basically it's super thin, so it is like water, as you can see. So one trick with this stuff you can do is just take a little piece of scrap, in this case I've got a little piece of MDF, and when you get this, essentially just cut off as small a tip as you can so that you get nice fine control, and just even without barely squeezing, you'll see that it just kind of oozes out, and you just want a little dot. And then you're going to want to take your base. So the bases come like this with a protective coating on both sides. So yeah, you should probably take the coating off before you put the glue up, but essentially it just peels off. You just pull it off both sides. I would suggest taking off both sides at this stage, because you know, you don't want to compromise your model afterwards by pulling and manipulating and so on. Okay, so that's the model cleared up. You see there's a, you probably can't see it, but there's a fingerprint there that I can see. So what I suggest is, even though this super glue doesn't cause frosting, just it's much easier to clean off fingerprints at this stage. Now it's inevitable with clear bases that you're gonna get, obviously being clear, you're gonna get fingerprints, you're gonna get dust and so on. But at the end of the day, when the model's on the table and on the scenery, you can't see the stuff at all. All you see is the model. Right, so what you want to do now is to take your model. In this case, I just got a little Beyond Antares Trooper. I don't actually stock Beyond Antares in my store, but I was given this as a free sample by the good guys at Wargames. The first thing you want to make sure is, obviously after you've assembled the model, you prime it, you paint it, and then of course you want the feet to be clean. So you would take a nail file or something like that and just clean the feet, make sure that they're nice and rough, actually, because you want that little bit extra purchase. You want as much adhesion as you can get, and then you're just going to take a toothpick and you're going to take, because glue is probably a bit dry now, I'll grab some more. You probably don't want to use MDF, actually, looking at this, because it's quite porous, so it's actually absorbing the glue. You want to take a little bit of that, and you're just going to put a tiny bit on the feet. Yeah, this MDF is really not working well. So now I'm going to do, I'm going to use the stuff that I pulled off the acrylic as a, I'll just use this, actually I'll just use this disc over here, put a little bit there. It's just disappearing glue into the MDF. Right, yeah, it's like that, and just stick a little bit just on the feet where you want it to make the most contact. Maybe a toothpick's not great either. You can experiment with a few different things, find whatever works for you. And the trick here now is, because the base is clear, you can actually if you put the model on upside down, you can quite easily center it, and you don't have to worry about it being, because you really only get one shot of this. I must say that is another drawback, because this stuff just sticks like mad. Right, and you'll know when it's stuck. All the bubbles will disappear. It'll be a matter of seconds. Oh. And it's just such a joy to use. There's no fumes at all. Okay, so that's kind of set there now. Obviously it's going to take a couple of minutes before you get the strongest bond, maybe even overnight, but it should be fine now. And there he is, all based and ready to go. Yeah, so that's about all there is to it. Like I said, the only consideration is the bases can get a little bit dirty over time. There's ways around that. You can use a bit of one of those bulby air blowing things and just blow the dust away. You could use an earbud, just give them a touch up every now and then, maybe a little bit of alcohol or something, just make sure obviously not to take the paint off the model. So maybe alcohol's not the best idea, but it can be used. Basically, just whatever you do, anything, just make sure it doesn't attack the acrylic as well. I know acetone will attack the acrylic. Obviously, like we said, super glue would attack the acrylic, normal super glue. But this stuff is just the gold. And so to show you, just there's still a little bit of play there. So it's not 100% set yet, but when it does set, it's essentially indestructible. You're not going to get the mini off there unless you literally break the feet off. Okay guys, like I said, we stock all of this stuff in our store, Hobbymad.ie, so you can go have a look there. And the date of this video is the 21st of October, so I'm going to try and list that kind of starter set with the 25mm round bases and this BSI gold super glue today. Alright guys, catch you again, cheers.